Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Aradhana and today I am here with the part 2 of the Great Indian Novel. I know a lot of you have requested me to make a part 2 of this video. And today we're going to talk about some of the basic things which you need to know in order to read this book. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. And one more thing, if you haven't seen the first part of this series, then you must go check it out. Link will be somewhere here and also in the description. So do check it out and after that you can watch this video. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. As far as I remember, I think I forgot the character of Krishna and what he represents in this book. So Krishna is one of the most important aspect of Mahabharata, but he did not do any certain kind of thing which could impact the Mahabharata war directly, but he was always advising Pandavas and especially Arjun what to do, what not to do during the war and before the war as well. But in this novel, there is no such character which is so constant as Krishna was in Mahabharata, but the character of Krishna has been depicted by Dr. Krishna Menon, who was a South Indian political personality, and he at some point in time he becomes the advisor or a well-wisher of the media, and that is what Arjun is representing, as I told you in the last video. So the thing is that the character of Krishna is not that important in this book. It is always in Mahabharata, but it is not that important in this book. So I think that much is important, and there is very little, I think a short, maybe one chapter about him. I think it is not of that importance. So yeah, that is it. So now, as we have discussed all the characters of the novel and what they represent in this book and what they represent in the Mahabharata, now we should look to the places which has been fictionalized and has been given fictionalized names so that it does not arise a controversy. I think that is the whole and sole reason about that. And also the kind of the things which has been fictionalized, which has been given a fictionalized name, though it is very, very, very obvious that what they represent from the Indian history. So let's get into that and discuss those things as well. Okay, so the first place which is very important, which occurs a lot in the book, is Manimir. Manimir is Kashmir, as you must be knowing from the name of the rhyming of this name from Kashmir. It is Manimir, and it has been mentioned a lot of times in the text. As Kashmir has been represented by the name Manimir, Srinagar is mentioned by the name of Devpur. I know it is not rhyming and it is not apparent, but it is, so I think you should note this down. And the second thing, Jammu has been mentioned by the name of Marmu. I think it is very apparent though, but Jammu is represented from the name Marmu. It is, I think, very difficult. I don't know what it would be pronounced like correctly, but I think it will be pronounced Marmu, and that represents Jammu, which is the, I think, winter capital of Kashmir, if I'm not wrong. So another place which has been mentioned a lot of times in the book and which is very important part of the Indian history is Pakistan, and Pakistan has not been mentioned with the name Pakistan, and it would have been controversial, I think, and that is why it has been given the name Karnistan, as Karn is represented by Muhammad Ali Jinnah. So Karnistan is Pakistan, which is like Jinnah ka Pakistan, and so this is how Pakistan has been represented by Karnistan. And whenever you see that Karnistan is written, that means it has to be replaced by Pakistan, and that is how you can read this book. These were some of the most important places that has been mentioned in the book, which could confuse any reader, I think, and especially if he is not acquainted with the history of India. So I think it will be useful for you when reading this book. Now we need to get on to some of the incidents of Indian history which have been fictionalized and given a fictionalized name as well. One of the most important incident of Indian history was the Dandi March, which was done by Mahatma Gandhi and thousands of his followers, and they broke the salt law, which was levied by the Britishers. And here it has been levied by Britishers, as we know, but it has been given the name of Mango March, and this is a kind of, a silly kind of comparison. Also, it will make you laugh a lot because this book is very humorous in nature. So here the Salt March or the Dandi March has been represented by the Mango March, where it has been prohibited by the Britishers that you cannot pluck a mango and eat it. And that is so hilarious. And this incident of this book, I mean, this chapter of this book where this Mango March is mentioned is one of the most hilarious incident of this book. And I think I love the way humor has been blended in this satirical masterpiece. So one of the most important and one of the most unfortunate and one of the most brutal massacres in the history of world was the Amritsar massacre, which was Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and this has been represented in the book as Hastinapur massacre, where which has been represented by Hastinapur massacre, because the book is kind of like a full Mahabharat kind of thing. So Hastinapur is being massacred, and that is one of the most I think heart touching things this book has mentioned. I mean, I remember there was some places where the whole incident of Gandhiji not being present at that moment when this massacre was happening because he was late or something like that. And then when everything is, all the dead bodies are there and everything, and he comes and he's so much into shock, and the way he says that this is how these Britishers cannot live in India after doing at least this. So I think that are one of the most amazing descriptions the writer has given. And I think being a political leader, I think Mr. Tharoor is a writer in the first place, and then a politician. I think because the way he has mentioned all those things, it just melts your heart for a minute or two. I love the description, the way he has talked about all the scenario, all the scene of this book. I mean, so picturesque and so good, so heart touching. Now, another one of the most unfortunate and one of the most important incident of Indian history was the emergency, which was done by Indira Gandhi, who became the Prime Minister of India after the death of Jawaharlal Nehru. It has been called as the siege. No particular name is given to this incident of Indian history, though I think it is one of the most important. It is simply called as the siege because that means kind of an emergency and a state of emergency. So it is given a very simple name, but it has been described, its brutality and its barbarousness has been described a lot. All those things, that what kind of things happened during the emergency, all of these things have been described so fully. And I think this book is also very important from the perspective of Indian history as well. I think it talks about Indian history in a way which no other book, at least I have not read any book which talks about Indian history the way this book does. So I think that is what makes this book so important to read. And I think all of you will read this book, but please do read this book. It's one of the most special experiences you're gonna have while reading a book. And the most important thing about this book is that this book is divided into 18 chapters, and all those 18 chapters represent the 18 parvs of Mahabharat, as Mahabharat is divided into parvs, and those are 18 parvs. So this book is divided into 18 chapters, and all those 18 chapters are further divided into 1 2 3 4 kind of chapters. So that is why this explains the thickness of this book. And And there are a total number of, I guess, 123 chapters in this book. I know it is quite as much, but some of these chapters are hilarious, and I think you should read this book. So as we know, Mahabharata is written in verse form, and it is called an epic, which is a type of poetry. But the Great Indian Novel is written mainly in prose form, but here and there are some good verses, and a lot of chapters are especially verses. And I think all the chapters which has been written in verse is it has been done to pace up the book, but it has glorified the book as hell. So I think that is it for today, and I think you all will read this book, and I hope I have been a person who could persuade you to read this book. I think with these many details you can start reading this book. If you have any doubt that you are not going to finish reading this book, and this book is you think that this book is very lengthy, or you are not going to go to 600 pages to read this book, then please download a free sample from any of the websites or from anywhere, and just read a few pages, first few pages. If you are getting a little excitement or a little kind of curiosity that you will go through this book, then please buy this book and please read this book, and let me know if you people read this book. If you find it good, do tag me on Instagram. If you are reading any book recommended by me, I will repost surely. And so that is it for today, and I will meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.